Just sneak over here a second. I said there's something about the effect that you made a couple of demonstration records when you were a teenager. You're barely more than that now, are you?
19.
19. Well, you got another year to go before you graduate. How many years ago did you make these demos and then have offers on them? And why would you turn it down?
They wouldn't let me produce myself.
You were 15 at the time.
Yeah.
Would they think you didn't know what you were doing?
Don't know.
Were you ever disappointed that you didn't let them do that to you?
No.
Did somebody tell me you played every instrument on this album? Is that correct?
Maybe.
No, you're very shy, modest. How many instruments do you play?
1,000.
Moments will be with you. Thousands? No. Literally, do you play all the instruments?
A lot.
If that is the case, then, I know. If you're out traveling, then you've got to have backup people. Are these people the ones that travel with you? What are your plans for travel?
We have a tour coming up in a few weeks.
We'll look forward to it. We thank you all very much for joining us. What's the name of the next song?
Why you want to treat me so bad?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Prince.
I believe in God. There's only one God. And I believe in the afterworld. And I just want people to know that I'm very sincere in my beliefs. And I pray every night. And I don't ask for much. I just say thank you.
I just say thank you.
The more stuff I write, and you write a lot of stuff, the closer I come to my own destination. What's your definition of your own destination?
I would say the complete oneness with the Spirit of God and knowledge of the truth.
I would say the complete oneness with the Spirit of God and knowledge of the truth.
Larry and I have been, he's been so kind as to help me with a lot of things that I didn't quite have a firm grip on. There's a lot of temptation out in the world, and it can confuse you and get you wrapped up in something that keeps you from the truth. But with a loving brother like that by your side, usually you do all right.
Yeah. So you are a loving brother, aren't you, Mr. Graham?
I try to be.
You always succeed in doing that, or?
Yeah, I feel so. We have a very close relationship. We spend a lot of time digging deep into the truth and deep into gaining more knowledge and drawing closer to our Creator, and that's very, very important. And then as a result, then you become closer to people around you that you love and that love you.
Yeah. So working with the artist is more than just making music.
Oh yeah, it's we're connected heart to heart, and then out of the heart comes the music. That's the gift. But if we weren't connected heart to heart, then it would just be playing music with another musician. You know, and he's done that, I've done that, you know. Now is a special time in our life. We get a chance to play with people that we really, really, really care about deep inside.
Yeah. Can you always follow him in his very, let's say, specific ideas?
Well, he allows me freedom of thought, freedom of expression, you know.
So, why are you laughing?
Well, I'm actually smiling because it makes me happy, the thought, you know.
Well, what I'm trying to say is that, you know, back in 1982, when I was speculating about the year 1999, I was learning about how time is just a trick.
How time is just a trick.
So I try not to spend too much time reminiscing, and I'm looking forward more than anything.
Kind of pioneering the way. So it was a very new experience, especially doing things like Woodstock, with the 500,000 people there, and the Isle of Wight, and things like that.
But I also have the impression now that Slave is not anymore on your cheek here, that you feel fresh, new, more funky, more inspired?
Yes, sir. Very
How
much.
come?
Well, once you free yourself from all contractual binds, you make music differently in the studio. You're not thinking about working for someone, you're thinking about just creating for God.
Yeah, that's important.
That's very important.
Yeah. And it's 1999 now. That means something special to you, doesn't it? The party is almost over.
Well, for all we know, it could have been 1999 and 1982 for me.
On birthdays, you don't like birthdays?
No.
No, not into that.
No. We came here not knowing that we were going to die. Somebody told us that. And if we never knew we were going to die, we wouldn't celebrate a birthday, because
But isn't it nice to celebrate the day you was born?
I'll celebrate the day I die.
Or because you're going to move on to the next path in life.
Yes.
Who influenced?
Both. For example, you had how many birthdays?
Me? What do you think?
Well, I know that you had one birthday.
Yeah.
You
When
were
was it?
born
Yeah.
on a certain day. You had
Absolutely.
no more birthdays after that. So I don't celebrate birthdays, so that stops me from counting days, which stops me from counting time, which allows me to still look the same as I did 10 years ago, just like that lady said.
That you were listening to in music today that made you say, I've got to put some more stuff out there. You have to do this.
Mainly I sensed a great deal of negativity and entropy in the music. There's a disintegration going on that we really have to address. Our values have been lessened to a great degree. VH1's been pretty cool. They don't show too much craziness on their channel, but other Viacom channels do. So I think that we should address this as a community as to what it's doing to the culture. People can say all they want to, that there's no reason for these kids to listen to music and then go shoot somebody, but you know, there's something that's triggering these buttons.
Do you feel responsible as an artist
Very
for
much so.
what you're putting? Do you think that other people do?
No, I don't.
You talk about music that's going out there right now. Are you talking about any particular type of music that you don't think is such a positive influence?
Well, it's very obvious when you hear words and lyrics, whether they enlighten or discourage.
Okay, so hip-hop gets slammed a lot. Marilyn Manson gets slammed, Korn gets slammed. A lot of those acts that are, out there putting, is that what we're talking about?
It's not what I'm talking about.
No?
I'm just talking about the truth.
Just general?
Yeah. The truth is that you either are here to enlighten or discourage.
Do you feel like you obviously, you've grown a lot and you've changed since 1982 and the 80s when you were putting out music, but you were always thought of as somebody who was putting out extremely sexual music.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a problem to you, or are you talking more about the profanity?
Yeah, sexuality is not bad.
No.
I'm talking about sexuality is very spiritual in nature, and that's a God-given gift too. No, I'm talking about just plain disintegration, where you're not even speaking the truth anymore, and the violent imagery that's permeated the society and our music now. And sampling is getting to the point where it's out of hand too. I mean, pretty soon we'll be sampling the sample that was already sampled.
Somebody was joking saying Mariah Carey had sampled herself on the latest album. How do you measure your success?
By who was the rapper? Master P said, "Only God can judge me." There it is. Only God can judge me.
All right. Good. Thank you.
Thank you. Get those mixes again, and fix them up the way you always saw them completed, and then reissue them.
Does the listener know if they buy one of these in Germany that this isn't what you intended?
A lot of my so-called fans do, and they actually thrive off the fact that it's stolen property.
You would admit yourself an unusual personality.
Depends.
I mean, well, let's say you're different.
As compared to what?
As compared to most people in, let's say, show business, you're an unusual person. Most people don't get famous with one name and then change it, right? Would you say? What's the story of that, by the way?
Well, I had searched deep within my heart and spirit, and I wanted to make a change and move to a new plateau in my life. And one of the ways in which I did that was to change my name. It sort of divorced me from the past and all the hang-ups that go along with it. I was, as it's been well chronicled, in deep dispute with my record label. And
Which is Warner Brothers, right?
Yeah.
Which owns this network, I might add. Just
Oh, they do?
throw, yeah, what?
Just all they do. Throw, yeah, what?
We had some issues that were basically about ownership of the music and how often I was supposed to record and things like that. We got along otherwise. We just had came to head in those types of.
So there was no clash over what you would record or what kind of music you were singing, etc.
No,
None of that.
No creative issues whatsoever. And they were gracious enough to allow me a very wide palette to, put colors onto.
But about the highest risk one would think someone who gets famous would take is to drop the name that got them famous.
Well, that was one of the things that I dealt with, is that I really searched deep within to find out the answer to whether fame was most important to me or my spiritual well-being, and I chose the latter.
Like Mariah Carey just had this big $20 million. It's like that's like a huge deal, right?
So you feeling that?
No, well, what I mean, I don't understand. What the public sees the word $20 million an album. Well,
let's see. Do you all think that's a good deal?
I mean, tell me why. I mean, what am I missing?
Okay, let's do some math.
Okay.
If
You do math like that?
Yeah, kinda. If you sign me,
Okay.
you signed me to a record company,
Right.
or a record deal. Let's suppose you have a record company.
Right.
How much would you give me? The album sells for $18, right? $18.
Whatever, yeah.
All right. How much of that would you give me?
Well, I don't know how it works.
Well, no.
Half?
Half? Half sound good?
Yeah.
All right. Check this out. If I sell 1 million copies, I'm gonna have $10 million, right? Roughly $10 million.
Right.
If I sell 2 million copies, I got $20 million.
Right.
If I just sell 3 million copies, I got $30 million. Now who has the biggest record deal?
Oh, I see. Yeah, right. Okay.
Right?
Right.
So Mariah kind of got screwed. Why it became such a big deal back then is ever since my third album, I wasn't really taking large advances from the recording companies. I was recording the albums myself in my own studio. So the way I looked at it, I owned the work because I paid for it. And I did all the work. I created it, so I felt like it should belong to me. That said, the companies felt otherwise. And they would always hold this contract up and say, well, you signed it. And I say, well, I understand that. It's not like I want to leave. I just want to, talk about this thing and see if we can't make it more fair. Of course, they wouldn't change, because if they changed, they wouldn't really exist. And that's kind of the situation we're in right today. They're not going to exist much longer. But it's not like we're against them or anything like that. The idea is that we find better ways of working with one another. It shouldn't be a situation where they own the album or the work. We're talking about intellectual copyright. If they're going to be indeed a delivery service, then that's fine. But even FedEx doesn't say that they own the thing that they ship, right? Because ultimately it keeps us apart, and it keeps the people in power in charge of us. So ultimately we're going to have to learn how to be together and become one people. What I've been doing recently is studying the scriptures as deep as I can, so that that's what gives me the optimism. And I would advise anybody, if you want to feel like there's some hope in this joint, I mean, pick up the book and like read it and get somebody to actually show you what's going on in it, because it's a real thing. You don't hear a lot of young people talking about things like I talk about because they really haven't lived. They haven't gone through a lot of experiences yet, and we can't really expect them to. It's just not all a party, you know, alcoholism and promiscuity. Get some elders up in here and let's talk about all this. Distribution service. I mean, what do we really need record companies for? I mean, really.
Well, it's not your game. You didn't make the rules, so everything comes hard. And as long as you're signed to a contract, you're going to take a minority share of the winnings. A select few of us will do well. The majority will not. So as a people, we'll be considered a minority. But stop. Let's take a moment and look at yourselves. There's nothing minor about you. You are a blessed people. You're the most talented on earth, and you are still grateful. That is why upon winning in their game, you always thank God. Tonight I would like to ask one favor of you. Imagine what we'll all be like in our own game. Peace and love for one another.
Who have you felt most often like in the ring fighting the record industry? Like Jack or the opponent?
Oh, like Jack.
Like Jack?
Yeah.
Tell me why.
Well, because I knew I was right. You know, we talked about this in our very first interview and conversation together. It's obvious now that artists are supposed to own their master recordings. I mean, in the future, it'll be unconscionable to even think you can take somebody's creation and claim ownership of it. See, unfortunately, this discussion is going to start to barrel into a discussion about the human genome and the DNA and all the rest of it. When it gets there, then we're going to be in the deep water. See, so it's better to start the conversation now before we get into God talk, you know.
There are 4 songs that I want to ask you about, and I did what I have never done before, which is to actually print these lyrics out. Some of them, since the record is so new, I'm learning some of them. I got some of them memorized.
Who gave you the lyrics, though? I've seen some really strange rewrites of my stuff.
Well,
I've seen one time they said the lyrics to When Doves Cry was, dig, if you will, the picture of me, Marvin Gaye, and the kids.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, you know what?
And then there was another one. This person will go unnamed.
Yes.
She didn't speak the English language too good.
Right.
She had a really cute daughter, so that's why we was acquaintances.
Yeah.
But she swore up and down, Little Red Corvette was pay the rent, collect.
Yeah. First, tell me about Dreamer.
Oh, well, when I saw the State of the Black Union, Dick Gregory really moved me and a lot of my friends. I show it to everybody that comes over the house, especially white folks, because they need to hear that, you know, so that they know more about all of us. Because what he said affects all of us. He said something that really hit home about this phenomena of chemtrails. And, you know, when I was a kid, I used to see these trails in the sky all the time, and so oh, that's cool. A jet just went over. And then you started to see a whole bunch of them. And next thing you know, everybody in your neighborhood was fighting and arguing, and you didn't know why. Okay, and you really didn't know why. I mean, everybody was fighting. So he started riffing about the chemtrails, and he started to say things that hit home so hard, and I would recommend that everybody try to get what he said online or wherever and try to get a copy of it and just listen to it. Because I was so moved that I had to write the song.
And then when you leave, with all the hassle, can you have that love? Love. I'm so tired of you black folk walking around looking all evil like that's gonna change something. Looking all mean and talking all crazy. Let them tell you about your children. If I sit here today, and these are all white folks, and they're putting some sleeping pill in my water, and I sit up here and doze off and go to sleep, and everybody told in the world, niggas is lazy. They tired. No, that's because you too naive enough to know what they putting in my water. Okay? Your children ain't violent because they black. They ain't violent. Most people in the world live in a ghetto. They don't kill people. What are you putting in my malt liquor, white boy? What are you putting in? Huh? Hear me. And it's your fault too. Malt liquor is made by white companies, but only sold in black neighborhoods, and you ain't checked it to see what's in it. Huh? How much lead are you putting in my neighborhood? Lead affects my thinking capacity. Lead is only one thing on the planet more dangerous than lead, and that's manganese. Manganese will make you kill your mama. And let me tell y'all something. If you want to see the largest homicide rate in the world, it ain't in no black ghetto in America. It's a little town in Australia where them white folks' homicide rate is 200 times what their population is. And that town just happened to be located across the street from a manganese plant.
Sit back down, Dick. Don't lose that mic, yeah.
That town is located across the street from a manganese plant. How much manganese are you spraying in my neighborhood at night while I'm asleep? How in the world can a 9-year-old child find a heroin man, but the FBI can't find it, and you gonna tell me that's a black thing? Y'all crazy? What is this about? These are the things that need to change while this brother and sisters on their way to the White House. And when you see Hillary and y'all see Brother Barack, thank him for me. And you white folks need to be thankful. Because if y'all had a brother like me, y'all would really be in trouble. That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. Okay?
Ladies and gentlemen, Dick Gregory. Dick Gregory. Dick Gregory.
I was so moved that I had to write the song. The other thing is the first line of the song says I was born on the same plantation in the United States of the red, white, and blue. And we live in a place now that feels just about like a plantation. We're all indentured servants, you know. When I found out there were 8 presidents before George Washington, I wanted to smack somebody. You know, I wanted to know why I was taught otherwise. Just tell me the whole story. I'll fill in the blanks, but don't, you know, don't tell me something that you think I'm supposed to know.
We're indentured servants and we got a black president now?
Well, I don't vote. I have nothing to do with it. I got no dog in that race.
And for those who would cuss me out and slap me in person if I didn't ask you why?
Well, the reason why is because I'm one of Jehovah's Witnesses, and we've never voted. And that's not to say that I don't think Barack Obama, President Obama, is a very smart individual, and he seems like he means well. Prophecy is what we all have to go by.
After these two amazing concerts, he sends out on Twitter, he says, "I'm transformed."
He told fans at the Atlanta concert, his final show, that stay tuned, in a few days you're going to see something that's going to happen.
Where there was a forced landing, allegedly because he lost consciousness.
We're requesting an ambulance to meet an officer at Gate 1.
Something is not right. So when I heard about that, I just got a really sinking feeling, because that just, didn't make sense to me.
When Prince's plane had to land, I knew about it before the press did. And it was a scary moment.
You can hear the pilot in the plane talking to the control tower.
And 990, was a male or female? I'm sorry, I missed it. A male passenger.
He is given, according to our sources, he is given a medication to revive him.
The fact that he got a Narcan shot when the first responders got there means he was not awake. He was unconscious. The fact that he woke up from the Narcan shot tells me he was unconscious because of opiates.
Clearly, there were secrets being kept.
Rescue this person down, not breathing.
You could see there was some real pain.
Who supplied pills to Prince?
I think there's only one answer.
Everybody is downloading his music, and one song in particular is now generating new interest. Here's the question: did he predict his own death in lyrics he wrote decades earlier?
Sometimes I feel so bad.
The haunting song, Sometimes It Snows in April. In an eerie coincidence, Prince died on April 21st. This song was first recorded on April 21st, 1985.
All the things they say never last.
The Carver County Sheriff's Department says there were no outward signs of suicide, but they are still waiting for the toxicology report.
Sheila, do you even want to know how he died?
In my heart, I already know.
Prince's longtime confidant, Sheila E., has her theories, but is staying mum.
You think you do?
Absolutely.
What do you think happened?
Yeah, I can't share.
Yeah, I can't share.
In an interview last night, Prince's former lawyer, Londell McMillan, said Prince was not a drug abuser. Quote, "It wasn't what he was about." Williams said he spoke to Prince after that emergency landing in Illinois, where Prince was reportedly treated for a painkiller overdose. Quote, "He was not on any drugs that would be any cause for concern. People use medication."
Alright, y'all, there you have it. The Prince Rogers Nelson sacrifice video complete. What's going on with y'all? It's Black Balloon. I'm back, and we at it again. So, get right to it. I think that video did a pretty good job to cover, Prince's, spiritual beliefs and kind of the things that he chose to expose over his career. All the way to the chemtrails, to the record labels, the contracts, the things that artists usually expose, when they figure out that all this is some bullshit, it's just a big show. And you could tell Prince was very enlightened at an early age, kind of very mild-mannered and, also very outspoken and, real monotone. So you could tell, those kind of people, they get taken really, they get taken serious, because they just come off as meaning business. They're not You know, they're not playing about what they're saying or what they're trying to expose and bring to the light, basically, you know. So, you know, I definitely feel like for the people that just didn't know Prince that well, you know, that was a good video to kind of get to know who he was, you know, mentally, spiritually, and so forth, you know. So as why I also put in the video, you know, we can't forget that, you know, Prince had to do what he had to do to become Prince, you know. And it's that kind of typical story where, you know, you sign that dotted line, you know, this is, you know, 70s, early 80s, you know, where you're just looking for the come up. As an artist, you think you're getting into something that's going to be purely for your benefit. And then you figure out that, you know, this is not exactly what I signed up for, you know, just how they get every artist. It doesn't matter who it is, you know. So with the Prince situation, you know, not to just keep this too long, I think, you know, they painted the drug narrative to us. You know, I think that's why they gave us the, you know, the little video about him, you know, going unconscious on the plane, and they had to give him that little, I forget what they call it. They give him when you overdose on drugs, and it kind of just brings you back to life real quick. So I think we were given that narrative so we can accept when they were going to actually sacrifice him and take his character off the scene at 57 years old. And that 57 gives us that number 3. 5 and 7 equals 12. 1 and 2 equals 3. So we know who's behind the show at this point. But like I said, I think that on the plane was set up. I don't think it actually happened. I don't think he actually passed out on the plane from overdosing or whatever, and then they brought him back to life. I think that was set up so we would accept him, you know, being sacrificed and overdosing on fentanyl like so many other artists did in between the time of 2015 up until about 2019. A lot of artists died from overdoses that same exact way. You know, we get 3 big artists being basically Peep, Prince, and Mac Miller, all died within a couple of years of each other from the same exact, you know, type of overdose. So we see the narrative that they're painting to us, you know, so we can't fully believe everything that they give us. We have to be smart, and we have to understand that, you know, we're like I always say, we're the small percentage, we're the 15%. So this is not about us. It's about making the 85% believe that he overdosed and his death was because of drugs. They don't give a damn about what we believe. You know, they're not putting this out so we can believe it. They know we're not going to believe it, you know. So, you know, you gotta remember that. Don't take everything that you hear and think that that's the truth just because you were given it by the media and a bunch of other different sources that, you know, claim to know what happened to Prince, you know. So that's my belief on it. I don't think he was on drugs at all. And I think just as Orlando said, the devil came and collected on his soul. You know, he made a deal, he made a contract. Who knows what he did behind the scenes? Who knows what kind of rituals he participated in? Who knows? That side of the story we don't get, you know, so we can't forget that. We can't look at how great the person was and, you know, all y'all women who think he's, you know, just so attractive. We can't look at that and, you know, get mixed up and miss the point that he was a part of it as well. You know, he just chose to expose things the way that he did, and he got away with it for a long time. And, you know, at 57, he met his demise. So, yeah, you know, I'm not going to keep this video going too long. I know I'm probably good in over 30 minutes by now. Really hope y'all enjoyed that video. You know, Prince, Purple Rain, Prince, Rogers, Nelson, sacrificed. And there it is. So y'all already know what's going on, man. Y'all know I'm coming back with the content. We dropping. It's Black Balloon. And I'm going to see y'all soon.